So what I would ask you to do is hum the riff with me. Try to hum both the notes and the rhythms, but at least get that rhythm down. The rhythm's most primary. It's not about having a good singing voice, it's just about internalizing the music. So see if you could hum this with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Any syllable. Hey everybody, Gary here with Guitar Tricks, and in this video I'm going to share with you an approach to learning and practicing guitar that's going to ensure that you develop really great rhythm and great timing. So I'm going to share with you 4 tips, but before we get into it, please go ahead and click subscribe so that you get all the latest and greatest content from Guitar Tricks. Okay, so the first tip is to prioritize rhythm over everything else. So rhythm is the most primary musical element, and it's the part of music that people connect with on the deepest level. That's the thing that gets people dancing. That's the thing that people feel first and foremost. So trying to do stuff that's really fancy and impressive without that groove and without that rhythm isn't going to mean much to the people you're playing with, to the people listening to you. It's all about having that solid timing. So we want to understand that that's the priority. So here's an example. I'm going to play a super simple strum pattern, but with great timing, great groove. And then I'm going to play a kind of complicated strum pattern with less than perfect timing. And you tell me which sounds better and which one makes you feel better. Here we go. Feeling that groove. It's a D, C add 9, G, C add 9. Just focusing on changing at the right time. Just a simple groove, as opposed to this. So obviously I'm exaggerating, but a lot of times that's what happens, especially with beginners, is trying to do a lot of fancy things without prioritizing timing and changing at the right moment and locking in with that ongoing beat, that pulse that's underneath everything. All right, so with that in mind, the next 3 tips are going to be on how to develop that good timing. Tip number 2, whatever you're working on, learn to play it perfect at a slow tempo and then gradually increase the speed. So it's actually harder to play something in time at a slow tempo because there's a lot more space in time, and to be able to feel all that space between the beat is harder than feeling the beat at a fast tempo. At a fast tempo, anyone could clap along to the beat, right? That's really easy. At a slow tempo, if I asked you to snap along with me, it might not be as perfect. So it takes a lot more of an internal sense of time to play slow. So even though you think, why am I playing so slow? I want to be playing fast. By slowing everything down, you're actually increasing your ability to play with really great timing at any tempo. So it's totally worth it. So here's an example. Let's say you're learning a riff that goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Little simple pentatonic riff. So it starts on the 7th fret of the D. So 7, 7, 5, 7 on the A, 5 on the D, 5, 5 on the A, 8 on the E, 5 on the E, and then with a beat, because the beat is most important, hear that beat. Right? Every one of those notes is either on the beat or off the beat at a very specific moment. It's not open to interpretation. It's exact. It can only be notated one way. It's not an improvisation. It's an actual riff, right? So what I'm recommending to you is find a tempo where you can play it perfect first. Maybe your technique is not quite there to play it fast. So I'm actually just gonna find a drum beat. So I'm gonna start at 55 beats per minute. I've got an app called Super Metronome. It's a metronome but with drum beats instead of just clicks. So if it was at 55 beats per minute, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Maybe that's still a little too fast. Let's try 45 beats per minute. You're trying to find where you can really lock in and feel that rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this requires you to really listen, really feel that beat. Now this is what I was talking about, how it's actually harder to play slow. Really gives you a chance to develop your musicality. Could even focus on your technique. It's slow enough that you can really watch your fingers. What does the riff feel like under your fingers? Cool, so let's say then you're like, I got it at 45, and then you gradually speed your way up. Let's say you end up at 60 within 10 minutes. Here we are at 60. Am I really making that drum beat disappear? Am I really locked in with that snare drum? Not really there, I was talking too much. A lot of those notes happen right with the snare. 3 of them. Snare, 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 right? So now you're really working on those habits, and then let's say maybe it's a few weeks, maybe it's a few months, maybe it's a few hours. You get up to 90. You put on a little distortion. Awesome. Now the same goes with strumming. Let's say you're working out a strumming pattern, like the one I was trying to do in the intro. I was trying to do this. It goes down, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up. So first, you might want to just make sure you're working it out. You work it out without the metronome just to make sure you know what you're going to practice. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and. So now you know what you're going to practice. So we do the same thing. Let's find a tempo where we can make that sound perfect. Trying 55. Playing at a slow tempo like this, especially with some sort of a backing click or a drum track, makes you such a good listener. And being a good listener means you'll have better timing, because you're hearing the rhythms behind you. A lot of people that don't listen, drummer could be doing that and they're doing this. Crazy, right? A lot of students that I work with that are just learning alone in their room with nobody, the moment I start playing with them, that's often what happens. It's like we're just two separate worlds playing at two different tempos. So this locking in, especially at a slow tempo, is going to improve your timing. So then once you get it at 55 and you feel like it's perfect, then gradually increase. Just keep going up a few BPM until you get it right where you want it. Tip number 3, internalize the rhythm. So there's a few ways to internalize the rhythm. One is to hum it, sing it. The other is to keep the beat while you hum it and sing it. or to clap the rhythm while you tap the beat. So somehow you want to get it into your body so that you really feel it and you hear it before trying to play it. So for instance, let's say we were learning that riff again, the one that goes da 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 do da 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 dum dum. So what I would ask you to do is hum the riff with me, try to hum both the notes and the rhythms, but at least get that rhythm down. The rhythm's most primary. It's not about having a good singing voice, it's just about internalizing the music. So see if you could hum this with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Any syllable. Do 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 boom 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 boom. Wow 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 wow. Feels silly at first, but this is my life. Dee dee doo boo da bum. So you're really creating a relationship with that riff. You're getting it into your head. Now, here's an added challenge. See if you could tap your foot while you do that. Or clap. Here's an example. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba da 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 ba ba da da ba da 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 ba ba da ba ba da 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 ba ba da da. Another thing you can do, tap the beat and clap the rhythm. Ba da da ba da ba ba da ba ba da da ba da ba ba da ba. You might not hear my foot, but you can see my guitar on my lap keeping the beat, right? Here we go. Ba da da ba da ba ba da ba ba da da ba da ba ba da ba. Now, if you start doing stuff like that, you're actually preparing yourself to be a drummer. You see a lot of great musicians that aren't drummers hop on the drum set at rehearsals and they could play some stuff, because if you really bring the rhythm alive in your body through your voice, through your hands, through your feet, you're getting this kind of like multi-limb, multi-body part rhythmic thing going on, and that's pretty much what drummers do. Is they're having these different rhythms exist in different limbs and they're putting it all together. My final tip number 4, is work with a metronome and make the click disappear. So whatever you play with that metronome, you don't really have it at that rhythm and you haven't really mastered that timing until the click disappears. I'm going to demonstrate what that means. So let's say you're just working on scales and scale patterns. I'm just going to put on a basic click. And sometimes the basic click is better than the drum track, because that space, you have to negotiate that space in between each beat. And that means you have to have an internal drummer going on. With a drum track, there's so much happening that it's hard to lose track of the beat. But with a metronome, you can. Like here's a 60 BPM click track. So there's a lot of space. There's no drummer hitting hi-hats and stuff, so I have to feel that. So let's say I wanted to play a G major scale, and I'm practicing my scales. I'm going to play on every beat like this. Cool? It's hard. Think of it like a video game. Just trying to make those clicks disappear. So when you're working at slow tempos, not only are you giving yourself the space to really memorize the shapes and play with good technique, you're also developing great timing. So there's that benefit. You might be like, why am I playing so slow? But you're developing your timing as well. Working with the metronome, your memorization is going to come up, your technique's going to come up, your timing's going to come up, and all boats are going to rise together as long as you start at that baseline tempo and work yourself up, never going too fast. Like if this is happening, it means you're going too fast. You see, I'm messing it up, so that is not a good tempo for me to practice out. I gotta slow it down. Now in this video, I'm not gonna go over different scales and scale exercises and everything. I'm just trying to give you the concept that you want to, whatever it is you're practicing, you want to master it at that slow tempo before bringing it up, and that working with a click, especially at slow tempos, really helps you build your internal timing. Now one other little trick that goes along with that, being there's all that space with the metronome, you could internalize the subdivisions. So here's what I mean by that. Let's say we're at 50 beats per minute. Super slow, right? I could think of the 16th notes in between that. 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 5E, and by doing that, it's kind of a little pro tip. It helps me know when the downbeat is coming, because I'm feeling right? It's like building a ladder between each beat, or walking from one beat to the next and taking 4 steps in between instead of trying to jump from one to the next. So while I'm practicing at that beat, right, what I'm doing at 50 beats per minute, I'm gonna feel 1E and 2E and then, being you're feeling that, let's say you were improvising. When you're feeling the subdivisions, it's much more natural to add rhythmic variety over a beat, because you're not just imitating the beat, you're hearing all the possibilities and all the rhythms in between. All right, everybody, I hope that lesson was helpful and just kind of gave you an approach to how you might want to deal with timing and rhythm in your practice and in your playing. If you found this lesson helpful, please go ahead and subscribe. If you want to really take your guitar to the next level, check out guitartricks.com. There's the core learning system, the country track, the rock track, the blues track, thousands of songs by popular artists you know and love, tab sheets to go along, backing tracks, multiple lesson videos per song. Check it out, guitartricks.com. I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Take care.